Hey everyone, this is Sigma with My Gaming Edge, and today I'm going to be taking a look at how Dignitas holds Badlands last, using a demo from the recent I-40 LAN. Now, the way that most teams hold this last point is they take everybody and pull them back to the point room, and then they wait for the enemy push to come in, and hopefully they get a good enough Uber or enough frags that they can push back out and take Spire back. This isn't really the best way to hold this point, especially if the enemy has an Uber advantage, because you don't really have anywhere to back up, and you're far away from Spire, so it takes quite some time to get there and start capping, which is a problem with the enemy's significant spawn advantage here. So we're going to take a look at how Dignitas makes up for these things and gets a strong recap of Spire after a good last defense. So let's hit this demo. We're watching from Dunk's perspective right now, and what has just happened is that Dignitas attempted a push on the enemy Spire. They failed miserably, losing their medic, and the enemy medic survived, so now they're kind of in trouble. Also, they tried to sort of make a defense on mid with their surviving players, and that failed, so they had no numbers to block Spire. So now they're just pulling back into their top lobby, preparing for their last hold. So let's pause it right here. Right now Dunk is sitting around half charge. They know the enemy has a charge advantage because Dunk was spawning alone, and they need to make this hold. So the positions of their players right now, they have one soldier watching drop down, they have a demo, medic, and soldier moving to top mid, and both the scouts are going to move over to bottom mid and watch that. I really like this position because what it accomplishes is that every possible way into the base is covered, and the medic is able to buff everybody, so the enemy is going to have a hard time getting in. As we're going to see, they're not going to be able to get into bottom mid. So resuming the demo, we have the hold in top mid, medic buffing everybody, and the demo and soldier focusing on not letting anyone in bottom mid. And what this is going to do is it's going to eventually force the other team to climb Spire and spill off their Uber disadvantage. So they've already accomplished one thing of their hold here. So here we go, waiting for the other team to make a move. They're peeking the door and losing people because demo's absolutely brutal there. So in a way they've already succeeded at this hold because their Uber disadvantage is gone. They're denying scouts coming up the drop down, as you can see there, and they're just waiting for the enemy to make a move. And what the enemy is going to do, knowing that this kind of hold exists, is they're going to climb Spire, because you can't get in bottom mid without popping with this kind of hold going on. So the enemy should be up on Spire now, should be on bats, and now you can see that the demo and soldier are switching their spam to the bats, and they're getting kills again. So let's pause this again and examine what just happened. They know the enemy combo is sitting on bats. They've got a kill, so they can do something a little risky, and they still have the demo holding top mid. So they drop the soldier that was in top mid down, and he's going to jump on the bats, and he's going to get the force because the medic is very exposed there. Yeah, he doesn't have room to dodge. He's in a predictable location, so it's easy to get those rockets on him. And even if the soldier fails this force, they're not in a bad position because they just killed a soldier, which was what triggered this action. So resuming the demo, we have the pop is forced, the soldier dies. Now Dunk is forced to Uber in a little awkward position because he kind of gets caught out by the demo, and Epsilon backs up and not able to do much. Now, here they back up to last because they're not really sure if they were able to watch bottom left, since the Uber exchange went off and both the scouts were watching bottom middle, not bottom left. So they seem to check it, they're okay. They go back to top mid, and then they notice quickly that the enemy is coming in bottom mid. Now, if I pause it again here, as Dunk is retreating through top mid, I'd like to point out that despite the fact he was way up there, he wasn't really in any danger because the enemy team can't get there very quickly. He can easily see where they're moving into top mid, so he was able to back out through the door, back to last, and get a good defense here. So now, resuming the demo, we're in the last defense here. Dignitas gets a whole ton of frags, get almost all the players, just one scout up. And now, pausing again, let's see what's going on. They had a really nice last defense. Their medic was never at risk there. and they just wiped the enemy team with the exception of one scout that they never saw. Now, thanks to the magic of this being a Source TV, I know that the scout is hiding above the sign on the bottom left side. So, normally, on a push out of last here, you want everybody to get out of last using different doors such that you block all the exits and nobody gets behind you to backcap. But there's a bit of a special circumstance in this case because they know that scout is up somewhere. He could be hiding anywhere. He's been up, he hasn't died on the push. They never saw him, so they're very nervous about him backcapping. And it doesn't make a ton of sense to bring their combo up because the soldier is very low on health and the enemy team was wiped, so it's reasonable that the scouts and demo can cap the Spire without the combo's assistance. So what they do is they leave their combo on last. Resuming the demo, see the combo just waiting on last while the scouts and demo move up to play for the Spire. And there's that scout that was hiding. So he backs up because he sees stickies, he sees the combo, and now he's too far away from the room to get the cap before the Spire hits, so the combo starts moving up early. And they come into yard with a charge advantage with the Spire cap off of a situation where they were kind of screwed, being 3 down with an uber disadvantage, losing their Spire. So let's pause that there for now, and to more fully understand this push, we're going to rewind this demo and go watch a different perspective. So we're back to where the push is starting to fail for the other team against last. Watching Rib's perspective this time. So let's hit this demo. The enemy team is wiping. They're getting the defense here. Almost everyone's down. Here's the scout. Scout goes down. So now they only have that last scout that they don't know where he is up, and they're moving out. So Rib takes top mid. You can see from his quick glance there, one scout took bottom left, one scout went by drop down, and Rib's going to run out into yard and deny the corner so people can't jump in on the Spire, while both scouts immediately get on the cap. And as you can see, it works pretty well. The scouts get the cap, Rib takes damage, but he's not in too bad a position because he was there faster than the other team, and they're able to secure the Spire. So now we're going to rewind again and take another look at how this push works. So now we're back into the middle of the hold, before the Uber was forced, watching from Bibbin's perspective to see what he's up to. So let's hit this demo. Now you can see he's kind of just watching the last point here, just hanging out, moving to bottom mid, watching the last point. And what he's accomplishing here is he's being support. If any kind of fast push comes in, he can engage on bottom mid. He's close to the medic, so he can constantly get buffed. And if any sort of funny business happens, because people have been dying on the other team, so it's possible that they brought out a spy, he's close enough to the last point to block it if that kind of cap tries to occur. Now since the pop has occurred, he gets out of the fight, back to last, and just waits for something to open up here. It's really stupid to try to force a play as a scout, because you're not so good at actually fighting within this base, thanks to the indoors, small areas. So what he's trying to do is just stay alive until he can get a recap on Spire. Now his team's moving back up. He sees the people coming on bottom mid, which is key, gets out of the way so his combo can engage them, and then just waits at last for anybody to come in. He doesn't want to fight in that enclosed hallway. So there he gets a soldier, pretty good. And it's a scout. So notice that he never really engaged anyone through that entire push, except for the people that came in and exposed themselves in the last point. He never tried to force himself into a situation where he was going to take damage from rockets. And on the earlier hold, he was covering multiple things, the bottom mid, and he was making sure no spies got in the last. So there he had moved out, covered a door, got on Spire as fast as he could so the cap could start quickly, and there they got the cap. So, just to sum up what we just watched, going through the roles of each person again. We have the medic, demo, and a soldier holding in top middle, denying the bottom mid doors, and then switching their spam to bats if the enemy team goes and climbs Spire. We have the roaming soldier denying drop down, which is a solid play because the only thing that's really going to come up there is a scout, and it's very, very easy to hit 2 rockets on a scout in there because he's very restricted on his movement as he's entering. And then the area is so small you can just shoot a second rocket into the middle of the floor and it'll kill him for sure. So that door is solidly denied. And finally, the scouts are just sitting, watching bottom mid and watching last, because they don't really have any purpose in holding those doors. They're not necessary beyond what the combo is already doing, and you just really want those scouts to stay up, stay alive, so that you can retake Spire later. So then, after they're able to spill off the enemy's Uber advantage with that hold, they have an Uber exchange which doesn't really go anywhere either way. They go back to check last because they're unsure of bottom left, and then they try to move back to top mid. They're a bit too slow with it, but it's fine because it's easy to back out of top mid even if the enemy is pushing in bottom mid, so their medic remains safe. They get the better end of the fragging, and then they're able to make a push on Spire. On the push on Spire, they send their scouts different ways from their demo so that they're covering every door, while they leave their combo on last just because they're very unsure of where that last scout spawn is, and the soldier doesn't really have health to help Spire anyways, so he's not all that useful there. So, the scouts in demo pushing up never actually found that scout, so the combo continued to wait on last until he made a move for it. They blocked that, and then everybody just moved into yard. The important thing to note about that Spire retake is that the scouts immediately got on Spire while the demo went to deny corner. A lot of teams find it tempting for scouts to just kind of run around because they're fast and they can get into people's face, but scouts are very, very good at capping the Spire, not only because they have a double cap speed, but because if somebody jumps on them, they can just use their double jump to dodge damage, and it's very easy to deny a jumper with hit scan as compared to a projectile weapon. So, while it may be tempting to cap the Spire with soldiers, it's not really the best idea because they cap slower, they have to take damage to get up there, even if they can get up there a bit faster, and then they're much easier to knock off because they can't dodge damage as easily, and their hit scan is not as good, so they're not able to block jumpers as easily. So, definitely the best way to cap Spire is to get your scouts on there quickly, while the other classes on your team focus on denying corner. Now, there are a couple ways that you can approach this hold differently from what Dignitas did here. Not really better or worse, just kind of different approaches to it. So one thing that you can do is you can move one of the scouts from bottom mid to bottom left, which would somewhat overcome the problems they ran into there. Because if you have bottom left watched solidly with a scout, then you don't have to do that check on last, which almost got them caught out too far against the enemy team pushing in bottom mid. But at the same time, it's kind of nice to have both scouts at bottom mid because you have a firmer hold on last against a spy or something like that, and the scouts can take buffs easier. Beyond that, you can do partial versions of this hold where you just send your combo to top mid and you don't necessarily watch the other doors. If you have not enough people up, you can just leave one guy on last while your combo moves up, because that accomplishes the main goal of this, which is not letting them get in bottom mid for free. The only things you have to be careful of there is easily a scout or roamer can get on bats and start causing your combo problems. I find that you can back up quickly enough to deal with this as long as you're aware and you don't have your medic take 100 damage from a rocket or something like that. So if you're in a situation where you have an Uber disadvantage but you don't have enough people up to satisfy all the conditions of this hold, you can still move your combo to top mid to hopefully get a force on bottom mid or force them to climb Spire to make up for the disadvantage. And in general, that should be more effective than just waiting for them to push in and push their Uber into your last while you don't have one. So next time you're playing Badlands, give a hold like this a try. Just put your combo top mid, roamer on drop down, scouts watching bottom mid and the last point. Just make sure you get into this position quickly enough that the enemy can't just get around you, like what happened to Dignitas there. They were forced to back up very quickly, and you have to be ready to do that. And then if the enemy commits in heavily, whether they pop or not, you just need to back up to last because you can't do much once they've got past the bottom mid door from this position. You just need to get out of there and get back to the conventional last hold. This has been Sigma with My Gaming Edge.